Now, since that meeting of Professor Atayo with the legislators on the floor of the Senate, a lot of reactions have continued to come up. One of them being the issue of permanent voters' cards. I'll join Mr. Bolade Oshino to tell us what it's been like in Ogun State. I understand, or we heard from the governor of the state at a time that the collection rate in Ogun State is just about 40%. What has it been like now?
Well, I don't think that situation has changed. Many people in Ogun State are likely to be disenfranchised. And the problem started right from the time of registration. Many people could not be registered because the machines were just faulty. It took me about 45 minutes before I could have my biometrics captured. The machines kept breaking down. They kept putting fan on the machines and being replaced. And many people just couldn't do it, even though they slept at the polling units where the registration was taking place. And now that a few of them have been registered, many of them still have not been able to get their PVCs. Today, I was at one PVC center to collect my own. I got mine, but there were many people who didn't get theirs. What we saw were names which nobody knew. Apparently, fictitious names which have been imported into Ogun State, and there was nobody to collect them. But the real citizens of Ogun State, who are born and bred there and live, and people know them, are yet to collect their PVCs.
Okay, we're being joined on the phone by Victor Kwon, PDP National Legal Advisor from Abuja. Hello, Mr. Kwon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. How would you describe the stakes for Nigeria in this forthcoming elections, vis-a-vis the briefing by INEC on the Senate floor?
Well, as you can see, a lot of Nigerians are expressing interest and concern about the use of TPCs and the cards in the light of the benefits that are being just at the bit of collection, but even whether this technology really could be effectively employed in the election is crucial as this one. You know, Nigerians are saying that no eligible Nigerian who has registered would be disenfranchised. That is why, you know, there is so much concern, you know, whether the PPCs would be in the hands of all eligible voters, and whether come election day will be able to effectively employ to accredit voters for purposes of voting.
Okay, but you've had the complaint from Ogun State, 40% or thereabout, and they insist that it's not changed. Do you think we're on course?
I am as concerned as the average Nigerian, because I think just the state, there are pockets of states in the country as where the voter have not been widely distributed. And so there is really some concern. If we do not right, at the end of the day, we may not really achieve the purpose we intend. That's why, of course, we do not need to readily throw away the option of the temporary voter cards used side by side with the registers, you know, as a fallback position, really, to avoid disenfranchising Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Shinawa, do you see this election as one that would unite Nigeria the more?
I don't think that's likely to happen unless APC wins, because it seems the PDP strategy has been very divisive. They've introduced ethnicity, they've introduced religion, they've harped upon the fault lines of our polity. They have tried to emphasize our differences. In the immortal words of Chinua Achebe, they want to put a knife on the thing that binds us together. And unless Nigerians rise and say no to this kind of divisive tendency, the result may be very, very unpalatable for this country. As we speak, there are people who claim that unless PDP wins the election, they'll go to war. And they are roaming free. Nobody is doing anything about them. There are people who are holding a gun to the head of the electorate, collectively, so to speak.
So you think that it will take victory for your party to ensure Nigeria stays together?
Yeah. Well, now, there are two major parties, and it seems one party is for divisiveness, the other one is for the unifying platform in Nigeria in this election.
Okay, let's go over and talk to Ambassador Mohammed Wali. Ambassador, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You've heard the our two guests, one on the phone and one in the studio here, talk about the elections. But what's your take? You are the National Supervising Commissioner for INEC, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
How prepared would you say you are to ensure that Nigeria stays together with credible elections?
If you talk about getting ready, prepared for election, it entails a lot of things. First and foremost, you have to have the register of voters. And as the chairman of the commission, Professor Tahiru Jega, did indicate on the floor of the Senate that the register of voters is ready, prepared. In fact, have already been given to all the 28 political parties in the country. So it is the first thing. The register is ready. And the PVC, permanent voters card also, about 66 million cards have already been issued to states to distribute to voters. Out of these, about 75.9% has already been distributed to eligible voters. But we hope before the end of the 5 weeks now, or 6 weeks extension, I'm sure majority of voters will be able to get their cards. So apart from this, there are other non-sensitive materials that are already in place. So with all this, I'm sure we are prepared for the conduct of election come March 28th.
When you say with all of this, they're already prepared, they've been distributed to the states. What about the pickup? Because there have been complaints coming in from people who've gone to different pickup points to pick up their PVCs, and oftentimes they get there and they do not see officials. And some of them, when they do see the INEC officials, they do not find their card.
That's maybe true to a large extent, but in most of the places we visited, I think people are collecting their cards orderly. Don't forget, too, the chairman of the commission, in his presentation to the Senate, indicated that about 800 to 1 million cards are still being expected. So I hope that is why I said within the next 5 weeks, all those who are unable to collect their cards due to non-production will be able to get it. But others whose cards are there, we really appeal to them to endeavor to go and collect their respective cards.
Okay, just before we go on break, this one question here. There's some others who've talked about being asked to pay as little as 200 naira in order to pick up their permanent voters cards by the INEC staff. Have you heard of this report? And what's your take?
I'm hearing this for the first time. I think if any official is found doing that, it's against the rules. And I doubt very much whether INEC staff will do that. What is 200 naira to collect cards? In fact, people are being advised, are being encouraged really to come willingly to collect their cards. But if they are proof that INEC staff ask people to really pay 200 naira to collect cards, I think our offices are open. I think a complaint should be lodged and adequate measure should be taken against that.
Okay, please just hang on there. We'll take a break and then we'll come back to continue our conversations with our guests here in the studios. Please do not go away.